The echoing laughter. When we first moved into the house on Maple Street, it seemed like a dream come true. The large Victorian-style home was everything we had hoped for. Spacious rooms, a beautiful garden, and a price that seemed almost too good to be true. My wife Claire, our two children, Lucy and Max, and I were eager to start this new chapter in our lives. The kids explored every nook and cranny, their laughter filling the air. But from the very first night, something felt off. As we settled into our new home, we couldn't help but notice a strange, unsettling energy. The house creaked and groaned like any old house might, but there was something more to it, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. It was on our third night that we first heard it, the faint sound of children's laughter echoing through the halls. At first I thought it was just the wind or perhaps the old pipes, but the laughter continued, growing louder each night. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. Claire and I would lie in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the eerie giggles that floated through the darkness. Lucy and Max, being so young, thought it was amusing at first. They would laugh along, thinking it was a game. But soon, the laughter became more sinister. It no longer sounded like the innocent play of children, but rather something menacing, something mocking us. One evening, as I was tucking Lucy into bed, she asked me about the other children in the house. I felt a chill run down my spine. "What other children, sweetie?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "The ones who laugh at night," she said matter-of-factly. "They told me they used to live here." We decided to do some research into the house's history, hoping to find some logical explanation. What we found was more horrifying than we could have imagined. The previous occupants, a family much like ours, had vanished without a trace. The official record stated that they had simply disappeared one night, leaving all their belongings behind. The case was never solved, and the house had stood empty until we moved in. Desperation took hold. We tried to contact the local priest, hoping for some kind of blessing or exorcism, but he refused, saying the house had a reputation and it was best to leave. Leave? We couldn't just pack up and go. This was our home now, and we had invested everything into it. One night, as the laughter reached a deafening crescendo, we gathered in the living room, clutching each other tightly. The lights flickered, and the temperature dropped sharply. I could see our breath misting in the air. The laughter turned into a cacophony of voices taunting us, daring us to leave. "Get out!" I screamed, my voice barely audible over the noise. "Leave us alone!" Suddenly the laughter stopped. The silence that followed was more terrifying than the noise had been. For a moment we thought it was over. But then, a voice, clear and cold, whispered in my ear, "You're not going anywhere." The next few days were a blur. We tried to go about our lives, but the house wouldn't let us. Doors would slam shut on their own, objects would move, and that laughter, always that laughter, would return at the most unexpected times. Finally, we had no choice. We packed what we could carry and fled. As we drove away, I looked back at the house, its dark windows seeming to watch us leave. The laughter echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder of the nightmare we had lived through. We moved to a small apartment in the city, far away from Maple Street. Life slowly returned to normal, though Claire and I were still haunted by our experiences. The children seemed to forget more quickly, but occasionally, I would catch Lucy staring off into space, her brow furrowed in concentration. Months passed, and the memory of the house began to fade. One evening, I came home from work to find Claire in the kitchen, her face pale. One night, as we were sitting in the living room, the power suddenly went out. The apartment was plunged into darkness. I reached for a flashlight and turned it on, the beam cutting through the gloom. Then we heard it, a faint, distant sound. At first I thought it was just the wind, but as it grew louder, my heart sank. It was the unmistakable sound of children's laughter, echoing through the halls of our new home. One night, in a fit of desperation, I returned to the house on Maple Street. I stood in front of it, the dark windows staring back at me. "What do you want?" I shouted, my voice breaking. "Why won't you leave us alone?" I realized then that the house wasn't just haunted, it was alive, feeding on our fear, our desperation. I turned to leave, but the door slammed shut, trapping me inside. The laughter grew louder, filling my head until I thought I would go mad. And then, everything went black. I woke up in a hospital bed, Claire and the kids by my side. They told me I had been found unconscious in the old house, my body covered in bruises and scratches. The doctor said it was a miracle I was alive. But I knew better. The house had let me go, but it wasn't finished with us. As we left the hospital and returned to our new home, I heard it again, a faint, echoing laughter, reminding me that we could never truly escape. And as I looked into my children's eyes, I saw the truth. The house had followed us, its dark, playful spirit entwined with our own. We were marked, bound to it forever. The laughter would never stop, and neither would the terror. For the house on Maple Street had claimed us, and it would never let us go.